In this video, we're going to compare beaches and beach safety between the UK and Australia. We also conducted an interesting experiment with this little toy surfer dude, and the results may really surprise you. Over to you, Bonnie.
One thing we must emphasize is when in Australia, the UK, or on any patrolled beach is always swim between the flags. This is the #1 safety rule for several good reasons, which we will go through later. Each year, millions of people visit Australian beaches, but sadly, on average, there are about 120 to 150 drownings. This number would be significantly higher if it wasn't for our excellent surf lifesavers who perform over 10,000 rescues each year. In the UK too, there are about 30 beach-related drownings, but one drowning is one too many. In Scotland, I grew up within walking distance of the beach, and it was our playground. The beaches there are beautiful and vast, but the North Sea was so rough and it was so freezing cold. We would entertain ourselves by jumping off the sand dunes or finding a wind-sheltered area within the dunes to play ball games, but we would never swim in the sea. In the UK, we went to beautiful sandy beaches in Cornwall, Gower and Norfolk, as well as pebble beaches in the north of Scotland and the Isle of Man. In Australia, we have visited Jervis Bay with its white pristine sandy beach at Huskissons, to the steep dunes at Port Stephens where you can go on four-wheel drive driving trips. Tasmania's beaches are lovely too, and even though it is the furthest south in Australia, the water temperatures are still much warmer than in Cornwall, which is called the British Riviera. UK sea temperatures are on average 10 degrees cooler than in Australia, which is a huge difference and is a significant factor for many of the incidents which are caused by cold water shock. We are not saying taking a cold plunge isn't good for you, as it can be. Wim Hof has made cold plunges and ice bathing popular, but they are taken in safely controlled manners. On the opposite end of the scale, one of the most common causes of distress at Australian beaches is due to not being careful in the sun. This can lead to dehydration, sunburn, and even heat stroke. When we first arrived in Australia, Lewis had a bad experience with sunstroke. I was really worried, so I gave him Hydrolyte to replenish his electrolytes, which he'd lost by sweating, and I kept him cool with ice packs. He took a day to recover, and now we always protect ourselves from the sun and stay hydrated. Another cause of beach accidents in both Australia and the UK are due to being stung or bitten by marine life. Australian beaches are frequently visited by bluebottles, which are small air-filled jellyfish. They have long string-like tails which hang down. I have been stung once and it was very painful. I was paddling in the sea and a bluebottle wrapped its sting round my ankle. It felt like I was being stabbed with 1,000 little tiny needles. Luckily for me, I went to a nearby surf life-saving station where they kindly treated the sting with vinegar. Bluebottles are easy to spot on the sand as they are washed in by the tides onto the shoreline. There are usually hundreds of them, so if we spot them, we tend to walk away from the waves, as once bitten, never again. You can see them easily on the sands, but in the sea they are almost invisible, so it's best not to go swimming as your whole body is exposed and vulnerable. I can only imagine how excruciating it would be to be stung on the chest, but rest assured, as we have been advised, that the stings are rarely fatal. When we took Misaki to the beach, a local showed her how to handle a blue bottle without being stung, but we strongly recommend not to touch them at all, as even the clear sac may sting you. In northern Queensland and tropical regions of Australia, there is another tiny jellyfish called the irukandji. When we went to Port Douglas and Cairns, we went on a trip to the Great Barrier Reef. Everyone was given a stinger suit to wear over their cozies. It is a lightweight wetsuit, which is needed for protection from those tiny little jellyfish stings, which we have been told are very, very painful. The irukandji season extends from November to May, and some beaches have warning signs. Box jellyfish, on the other hand, are highly venomous and deadly. They are found in tropical waters from North Queensland to Western Australia, but we have never encountered them, nor do we want to. In the UK, there are also jellyfish, sea urchins, and weaver fish, which can sting beachgoers too. This is where wearing a wetsuit in the UK doubles up as a body warmer and a sting shield. I love seals, and when we were in Norfolk, they were everywhere. We respect wildlife, so we like to give them ample space, as we don't want to spook them, as there is less chance of them being provoked. A crocodile is one creature you do not want to get close to. Crocodiles, or crocs for short, live in the northern tropical areas of Australia, but attacks are extremely rare. As a precaution, there will be warning signs like these in Port Douglas, on coastal waterways and beaches. Another water critter you don't want to say good day to is a sea snake. We have seen two, and here is one being rehomed by a trained lifeguard. If you do see one, alert others and don't touch it. Shark attacks happen about 15 times a year in Australia and make the headlines, as they are usually fatal. Sharks can swim quite close to the shore, but historically, most attacks have been on surfers further out. Considering the millions of beachgoers every year, the stats are quite low, but one shark attack is one too many. You are far more likely to come across dolphins. Popular beaches are frequently patrolled by spotter aircraft, and in the last few years, Australia's surf life-saving clubs have started using drone patrols. Drone pilots can observe the sea and look out for sharks. This has proven to be very effective and is reassuring to beachgoers. There are some apps which list the nearest spotted sharks, or those detected by smart drum lines or by listening buoys. Excellent apps such as Shark Smart New South Wales and Shark Smart WA show recorded shark activity. We use a tide app which shows the times of the tides, as we prefer to go for our beach walk in low tide, as there is more beach to walk on and the sand is firmer. Now back to swimming between the flags and the importance of this. You may ask yourself why, when there is the whole beach to use. There are several reasons. Some surf lifesavers start their training as nippers, small children, and are qualified in so many aspects of the beach, from identifying rips, rescuing people, and administering vital first aid. The flags are strategically placed on the beach where the sea conditions are most suitable for swimming. Our surf lifesaving members are trained to identify rips. A rip is a channel of water which flows out to sea and is caused by a number of factors, which can include the wind, undersea surface such as channels in the sand, tidal flows, the gradient of the beach, nearby rock structures, and the coastline shape. They are not obvious to spot, but if you see an area of sea amongst the waves which appears calm and tranquil, it may be a telltale sign of a rip. Rips are extremely dangerous and can cause drowning, as before you are aware of what is happening, you can be sucked out to sea by tens of meters. They are almost impossible to swim against, and people often panic and become exhausted. If you get caught in a rip, take note of your bearings and swim parallel to the beach, out of the rip. At this point, use the rest of your energy to swim back to shore or raise your hand and signal for help. Rips and currents may not always flow out to sea. They may flow across the beach or at an angle, so you can be drawn down the beach away from where you started. Can you spot what appears to be a rip at Bondi Beach? There is a channel of calmer, wave-free water, but if you look closely, it appears to be flowing out to sea. We took this picture several years apart, and again, the same what looks like a rip appears. Let us know in the comments if you think this is a rip. Back to our amazing surf life-saving guards. To our surprise, the majority of them are volunteers and give up their downtime to help others. There are paid lifeguards too. We have the utmost respect and appreciation for them, so we always listen to their safety instructions. Sometimes the beaches will be closed for swimming, as they will be deemed unsafe, so always look for signs and follow the advice. When we were at the Gold Coast, we walked 14 kilometres from Surfers Paradise to Burleigh Heads, along the beach and past a lifeguard station about every 500 metres, but not all of them were manned. With beaches this long, it's impossible to watch every one. Patrol beaches will usually have recreational swimming areas marked by the yellow and red flags, and the areas are also designated for surfers, so you will be kept out of harm's way. Another thing to be careful of is submerged rocks, as they can injure you, and to make things worse, they are often encrusted with sharp barnacles. Our dogs have been caught in currents near rocks as it transforms into a vortex. Even in shallow water, it can still be dangerous. So back to our surfer dude. As an experiment, we tied a piece of string to him so he could be retrieved. We placed him in a rock channel and we were surprised at how far and how fast he was sucked away. We couldn't let the string out fast enough and the string got snagged on the rocks. This shows how deceptive currents can be, as the waves appeared to be flowing onshore and also the tide was coming in, but clearly there was a current pulling him out. So rips can take unexpected swimmers by surprise, and locals will use expressions like, "It's a bit tuggy out there." Our message is, please always swim on patrolled beaches and between the flags. Listen to the Surf Lifesavers advice and be mindful of Mother Nature's inhabitants. Thank you for watching Lewis and Bonnie's Australia.